So hello and welcome, Eugene Bagristo speaking, and today I'm going to talk about discrete choice experiments and how to restructure data. I developed something. It took a while. I think it took about 2 weeks in my event just because of other tasks and because I'm not a programmer and I needed to code. That is why if all of a sudden you're a programmer and you would like to help me, just let me know because there is something else to do. What I want to show you is actually the restructuring that I showed in one of my first videos. It takes a lot of time. In my event it took 1 hour, but if you're new it may take several hours. A friend of mine used 4 hours following my video to restructure his data. I thought that actually I can automate it because if you make your restructuring, I'm downloading the file just to see what I see. And the SPSS creates a syntax, and theoretically if you have the syntax you can repeat it. That's why I tell it also in my video. So if you save the syntax, next time you have to work with this file, you can make it much faster. The problem is that you don't know in advance what kind of data you're going to have. But you know, but you cannot copy the syntax and just paste it for a different experiment because you might have a different number of attributes and different number of levels. That is why I thought that why not developing this syntax file. And I want to show you how it looks like. This is the syntax file from our last experiment and that we made a test in restructuring. And we restructured, we had 14 trials and we had 10 different attributes. When we created from them the study and then we did all of the stuff, but then we changed the experiment to the new one and now it will have only 8 attributes. It means I have to do it all manually or I have to repeat it all on my own, and I thought maybe I can automate it. That is why I used Python, and Python should create this syntax file, and based on the number of attributes, number of items, you can create the syntax file theoretically. So I went up to here, this one, but I didn't manage to make it with the coding of variables because in this experiment we have the same levels for different attributes. That is why it might need some additional time that I don't have at the moment. So if you want to join me, let me know. So what I did, just to see what we have to do. This is the file that I had, and in this experiment we had like 2 studies combined for some technical reasons, and it means these are the variables that we need actually from the discrete choice experiments, decision variables. These variables about ChatGPT are additional variables that we conduct the second study, and we don't need them because they don't belong to this study. It was like 2 questionnaires in one. That's why I can delete the variables that I don't need. We can just clear them. And for my discrete choice experiment tool, I need some data. I have this in input folder. And the first one is decision variable names, because depending on when you develop your Qualtrics, it can be different names. That is why you just go to your analysis, to your SPSS file, and copy the names of all decision variables. These are from Q1, as you see, Q45, so it depends 57, 39, that this is not a decision, so this were the decision, starting from Q1 and up to Q57. Copy them and add to this CSV file. So we save them. Then we have this second file that we need to fill is other variables names, because usually you have other variables that you would like to retain. That's why I'm going to delete this one. These are my training data. And we try to add all the variables that we might need. So I assume we need these variables. Usually I'll delete them, but who knows, maybe you want to know the user language and the IP address and so on. And then these are the decision variables. Here come the additional variables that were the demographics, so we need them too. And as it was experiment within the experiment, we had also manipulation that has been added at the end. It was the display order, DCE manipulation 1 or manipulation 2, so we need these variables too. We add them and save it as CSV file. So I think we miss only one thing, the syntax data. And here I'm still working. We need to know number of attributes, it was 10, and number of trials, it was 14. In the next experiment, by the way, we're going to make, I think, 10 trials, because not everybody survived till the 14th trial. That's why we are thinking to shorten it. I'm still thinking about number of levels and number of type of attributes, because if you want to code also the variables, making the syntax for the variables, you will need these variables. At the moment, I don't have them. That's why we just save it. And now I'm going to show you the code. It will look like this. The only difference is you try to run this file or try to upload it somewhere to make it accessible for you. You will have probably different, so the file names, you can use the same names, but you will have a different path because I saved them on my G drive, you will have it on a different drive. And then actually this variable takes from my input variables some data with regard to number of levels, number of attributes, and then it is creating the syntax file. So at the end, if I run it now, let's run it, and it ran, no mistakes here. Theoretically, in the folder output, because I have the input and I have the output folder, now appeared a new file, syntax SPS. You can use this file, or you can just open, it's just a simple text file. Yes, it is the new one. And we just copy all the text, go to SPSS. In SPSS, we create a new syntax file. And this new syntax file should work like this. So theoretically, we can now execute it all, and our final file that we needed about 1 hour to restructure should be restructured. So cross your fingers, click on play, it runs, it is still executing, doing some calculations, and let's wait, still the final result, and it seems to be there. Let's check the file, and you see it has been restructured completely. So we have the attribute 1 from options, attribute 2 from options, and the decisions, and index 2, and even the final decision. This variable I could calculate because it is not dependent on the attributes names and number of levels. But for the future, you would also need to, if you want to develop this code, to add to syntax also coding the variables in the initial file. It could look like this one. You see here, for example, I'm coding the variables, the attribute 1, option 1, and the others depending on the levels. And if the levels are here, then you should take them into account and create a new variable. It's a bit tricky because if you have the same levels by different attributes, it can be low, medium, and high by different attributes, then you have to add additional command and play with it. So at the moment I didn't have time, but if you want to continue, let me know. I think with this simple plugin I could have saved you about 2 to 4 hours of time. That's why let me know what you think about it in comments, and I'll try to post this file also somewhere in comments. See you next time, and bye bye.